closer to starting to carve stone. And once I started carving stone, that was the thing that I just took to like a duck to water. It was so therapeutic, and that is the word, that there is something incredibly focusing and soothing about hitting a lump of stone with a mallet and a chisel when you're feeling a bit frustrated. It's a great way to get that out of your system, but also creating something that's soft and rounded. And I tend to go for sort of fairly abstract shapes and bodies and things, which are really amazingly tactile when you finish them, and you're creating it out of basically a hard lump of something that's existed already for 1,000 years or so. And I find that completely absorbing and fascinating.
So what do you say, what is your kind of definition then of creativity? How would you define it?
I think it's anything where you use your brain to make something happen. And I mean, honestly, that can be from reading a book to making a cake to sewing a button on. I mean, it's making change. And if that is something that then didn't exist before and you've created it, it doesn't matter what that is. It's still creative, and it's connecting your right and left side of your brain. I know that there's neuroscience around it, but it's just an absolute thrill to take, for me, a lump of stone that could be just a rough piece of stone, or it could be a carved block or whatever, and then turn it into something that simply never existed before. And very often, and I'm speaking from my perspective, you will start with an idea in your mind of what you want to do, and if you're really organised, you'll make a clay model of what you want to do and then try and replicate that in the stone. And it rarely turns out like that, because stone, like wood or anything else, has its own little little imperfections and things, and if you hit one you can break a bit of stone off, and there's that, the joke about the hand coming off and all that kind of thing. Well, it doesn't matter. It's what you create that didn't exist before. I think there's too much emphasis on just picking up a pencil and drawing a drawing and having a recognizable outcome from that. And I think people are beginning to understand that creativity has all sorts of different forms. And the wonderful Grayson Perry with his art club during lockdown has been a joy. And I'm delighted he's going to come back again, and he's been recommissioned for next spring, because it did start people thinking, actually, I can do that. It doesn't have to be great art. It doesn't have to be something that people judge and give me marks out of 10 on. It's what it does for me that matters more than anything. And that's, I think, non-judgmental is one of the words that we use about everything that we do with hArt, because it's not about teaching somebody to be an artist. It's about giving them an understanding of a number of tools and possibilities, how they can then use it for self-expression. And that creative little seed is there in all of us. It just somehow or other doesn't get watered for a lot of people. But if you water it in the right way, my goodness, it can be spectacular.
Yeah.